Welcome, I'm here at the shower surround in my 2021 KZ Escape E17 hatch, and in this video I'm going to be trying to replace some of the plumbing in the shower. So in a previous video I replaced the main plumbing on this, and the reason I'm doing it is because it has this flexible tubing that's connected up to PEX fittings, and that's not a proper plumbing connection, so I replaced it with PEX. So there's a little access panel down here, and I opened that up and I could see there's PEX coming in over here, and then it goes to the flexible tubing, which I'm guessing comes up to the shower valve. So this isn't going to be a comprehensive video, but if someone needs to tackle a similar project, maybe I'll be able to give some tips along the way. But I'm not a professional at this, I'm just sharing my experience, and I'm not really even sure what I'm going to do or where I'm going to end up. But the first thing I'm going to do is remove these plugs for the shower surround, and I have these trim tools for a car. These are for removing panels and such from car doors, so I'm going to pop these out. Let me just show one real quick. So I could take this tool and stick this in the front here and pry against it, but I don't want to crack the surround. So I can actually fit this behind here and pop it out. Now it's kind of wedged open, but I think this tool works better once I have access. So I'll probably put this next to the plug, and then I'll stick this in behind the plug and pop it out. I thought I was behind it. There we go. So I want to be very careful I don't crack this. It's hard to see that. Let me get to the back side of it. So here you can see the back side of the plug, and that's just in a hole in the paneling. So that it looks like they drilled a hole in here and just pressed this in. So once I get this loose, we can see that the pan here is just screwed in. So I'm going to work pulling this stuff away, and I'll come back and let you know my progress. Okay, so I have a couple of these loose, and I'm going to loosen the screws here. It looks like there's 4 screws. Now this is caulked on here. I don't know if I need to uncaulk this or not. I'm guessing I probably will, but I'm going to remove those screws so I can see what's behind it. Okay, so if I peek behind the paneling here, I can see the flex line hooked up to a PEX fitting going into the shower valve. So I might be able to unscrew that without taking the valve off the wall. I switched over to a different trim tool. This is a plier type for pulling plugs out, so you put it back behind here and squeeze it and it pulls the plugs, and it supports the bottom side of the plug and presses against the paneling more evenly. Okay, so I ended up pulling this off because the caulk wasn't really stuck, so now I can loosen these up. I'll probably leave it for now, and it looks like there's a little bit of flex here where I can pull these through. And then up here, this caulk was also not stuck, so I should be able to work my way around and pull the whole surround out. Then I can pull the pan up. Another thing I'm not sure about is the drain, so I'll have to figure out how that's attached. So I'll definitely come back with an update on that. Okay, so I have the shower surround out. It came out relatively easily. Now I need to take the pan out, and it looks like there's screws around the perimeter and the drain, so that may unscrew. I'll let you know how that came out. Okay, so I got the pan out. So to get the drain loose, I just removed the access panel down here, and you can stick your hand in there and loosen up this nut here. Now I can pull the pan completely out. So from here, we can see there's this riser. I don't know if that's supposed to be screwed in, but it's very wobbly. So the PEX is coming in through the floor here to this flex pipe, and that's going there up to here. So I need to switch over this piping to PEX. Okay, so I have the pipe replaced. So I used the existing elbows that were already there. I removed the vinyl and I crimped on PEX. Then where we have these curves, I could have used elbows, but I used some of these bend supports. So this is a sharper angle here. These are white. These are our Sioux Chief brand. And then I have the black ones, which are a little bit wider, and these are a little bit heavier duty ones. I'll probably throw some zip ties on either end of those. So the way I ran this is I actually ran it up through here, and I left it a little long, and I pulled through here about how much I needed, and I ran it under this pipe because it would be hard to fish through there later. And I put this bend in, and then I put this bend in, and this was a little long at this point, so then I cut it to length. So to bend the pipe, I used a heat gun to warm it up. I didn't get it really hot. I just warmed it up enough to make it bend easier because you don't want to kink it. So once I had both of these bends in, I cut and crimped it here, and then I cut and crimped it here. Now I used copper crimp rings. It was a little tricky because this one was pretty stiff on the pipe, so it was staying in place, but this one wanted to fall down, so I had to hold it while crimping it, but I got it in place. And I tried to have these facing straight out because they could be a little bit tricky to twist later. You can see I can twist these a little bit, but I'm not going to have a lot of leeway for twisting that. Now these can move up and down here. So I did have some play in there to move these up and down so I can line these up. So now I need to put everything back together. So I'm going to start through that process, and I'll cut in when I have things to share. Okay, so I've installed the pan back in with the one screw on this corner. Now I'm not ruling out redoing this someday, but for now I'm just going to leave it. So I'm going to put the pan back on, and I'll put the screws in on the front and the few around the perimeter, and then I will put the paneling back on and press all of the plugs in. Now I did put some zip ties around these corner braces. Okay, so to put the drain back together, I'm going to put this, I took this off the bottom, and I'm going to set this on here. There's rubber here, and that will mate against this flat surface here. And that looks like this. It's not tight yet. But then this ring will go on, and then this gasket will go on, and you want the angle facing down, like so. And then this will thread onto the pipe that's down here. Okay, so I got everything back together. It went together very smoothly. It wasn't hard to line the clips up to push them in. So I have the valve back on. There was caulk around here, and I cleaned the old caulk off, and I screwed this back on temporarily. In the next couple days, I'm going to sanitize my system, and I'll probably pull these screws out and make sure it's not leaking at those screw-on connections on the back of the valve. If it's leaking, I'll tighten it a little bit, and then test again, make sure it's not leaking, and then I'm going to take this and caulk around here. I don't need a tremendous amount of caulk, but I do want to keep water from getting back in here. So that's replacing the shower plumbing on this 2021 KZ Escape E17 hatch. This wasn't a terribly difficult project. The surround came out pretty easily. The valve came off pretty easily. The trickiest part was routing the plumbing and bending the PEX. Now you do need to have PEX tools or plumbing skills to do this. You could potentially use shark bite fittings. People have differing opinions on those. I would probably get the higher end version. I think they have like a pro shark bite. I forget. It's probably better than what was on here. So now that I've done the plumbing by the water pump and the water heater, I've done the shower plumbing, I still do have the pipe going to the toilet. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do about that. I think that's under the RV, so I may have to get under there to fix that. But I know this is one that's pretty common to leak for people, and I'm glad I have it taken care of. So that's all I'm going to cover in this video. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. If you like this video, please click like. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, I'd appreciate it if you could do that. And thanks for watching. Until next time, goodbye.